Namaste. My name is Rajesh Kamat. I'm a teacher and student of the Kautilya Arthashastra, and here we share applications of the Arthashastra in your life. So, friends, namaste once again, and welcome to Kautilyan Psychology. Last time we said Sama, Dana, Bheda, and Danda. Now, many a times, excitedly, people say, hey, Sam, Daam, Bhed, Danda, or even Sam, Daam, Danda, Bhed. Use any method but get things done. I want to tell you, this is not the application of the four methods at all. So, in one of our earlier videos, we spoke about how to use Sama. You recollect that? Sama, which actually means balancing, actually relates to the methodology of conciliation. Now, conciliation means how do you address that emotion which you see in the other person in a way that balances out the entire conversation, and you build a rapport, you build a trust, and finally you are able to get done what you had aimed to that conversation. I gave you the example in that video about a very irate customer of a pizza outlet, and how that lady was very upset that she's got, a pizza box which she didn't order, and how the very, very wise, experienced customer service representative leads her to a conversation to finally get her to realize that she was yelling for no reason, because she had actually placed her pizza box upside down. But to be able to have that outcome which she wanted in a patient way, not upsetting her, it takes skill. So Sama can be understood as conciliation, and conciliation comes in many forms. Conciliation can mean listening well. Conciliation can mean asking the right questions. In modern management, it may be called as the art of inquiry. Conciliation can also be advocacy, which is driving your point across to make sure that the other person is convinced. Okay, now that's Sama. That brings us to our second expedient of Dana. But before I explain to you what Dana is in your context, in our modern business context, I think we must revisit what Dana originally meant. Now, Dana is misunderstood as charity. It isn't. Charity is one form of Dana. Dana means giving. Now, what is this giving, and how have we seen this in olden days? The easiest way is to go back to Puranic times. You remember the stories where a king prayed for a child, or a king and a queen together pray for a child, and then the rishi would finally give them the blessing or the vardhana of a child. So vara, dana is one example. A blessing can be a dana. Let's look at another example. Many a times the Asurs prayed and they did tapa, they did austerities and of all kinds. And finally at the end of it, either Shivji or Brahmadev would come and bless them. And there again they asked for a boon which was granted to them in a certain way. That also is a kind of dana that you've seen in olden days. But let's look at two more instances in our itihas, in our Ramayana and Mahabharata. For example, in Mahabharata, do you recollect how Karna and Duryodhan became best friends? They became best friends because Karna, not originally Angaraj, but the son of a charioteer, at least considered then, who was called as a Sudputra. The Sudputra, he had come to a test of skills where the Pandavas and Kauravas were actually undergoing a test where they were to show how well they had learned the usage of various astra and shastra. Karna appeared then and he said, can I also show my skill? And he was slighted by the Pandavas, and more specifically Arjun, saying that, no, you are not suitable for this because you are not the son of a king, you are not a Kshatriya and therefore not eligible. At that point in time, Duryodhana, of course, saw the opportunity, not necessarily out of generosity, but he instantly granted the kingship, the lordship of Angarajya, okay, to Karna. And he said now he is eligible. This was a dana of friendship. And thus, always for a long, long time, until the last day of his life, Karna remained indebted to Duryodhana. This was also a kind of dana. Now, look at the Ramayana. And in Ramayana, you will see Jatayu actually risked his entire life when he fought Ravan, trying to stop him from kidnapping Sitama when he was taking her to Lanka. Do you remember that? Now, why did Jatayu do that? Jatayu was actually returning the favor, the dana that he got from Shri Ram's father, Shri Dashrath, who had actually saved one or both of the brothers from being burnt by the harsh rays of the sun, right? And he had nurtured Sampati back to life. And therefore, again, Jatayu wanted to pay back. And he performed finally the brave act, and he sacrificed himself for the purpose of making sure that at the very least he put up a struggle, a fight to save Sitama, later also leading Sri Ram to Lanka. Right? You remember this. Let's come to our modern context in our next video.